Adrian Jones is from the union and joins us now. Adrian, clearly KCC not happy that the ban wasn't extended. What's your reaction?
Oh, afternoon, Pat. Well, the reaction is that we welcome the government's decision. I think it's the right decision. The 6-month period to apply these bans on hard-working professional drivers was deemed to be necessary, but it's not necessary now. And the reports that we've had from drivers over the last few months has been pretty horrific, to be honest, Pat. I understand what David's just said in your clip. I would challenge that he's actually witnessed any of that, by the way. But our drivers who deliver the things that we all use, the phone that I'm on now, the chair that you're sitting on, the radio that people are listening on, all delivered by drivers on our road network. And without them, we're not going to have those things. And our drivers have been forced to try and find somewhere to park to take their statutory breaks, the breaks they have to take by law. And in some instances, that's been, pretty nigh on impossible, or face the fines imposed by Kent County Council. So our members welcome this, but we'd like to take up David on his comment. We'd like to engage with Kent County Council and the Kent Resilience Forum, both of whom we've approached many times over the last 6 months to discuss these problems, to discuss these issues, and more importantly, discuss the solutions. They haven't taken us up on them. If they want to find out what drivers need, they need to talk to drivers, and Unite is a union to do that with them.
How much of a problem did this cause? Because I know your union claimed there were fights between lorry drivers over a lack of space. Was that the case?
It absolutely was. Drivers were forced to drive further afield because they couldn't take their breaks in Kent. And this is not illegal parking we're talking about here, Pat. This is about responsible, legal parking. There just weren't the facilities available in Kent. So drivers had to go further afield. And that meant that more lorries, more drivers trying to park in too few spaces. And that meant that on occasion frustrations boiled over when somebody couldn't get their truck out when they'd finished their break, and sometimes things spilled over. And we also had many drivers faced with, massively stressful situations of being fined, their bosses giving them grief because they've been fined, and all they were doing was staying legal. So absolutely, this caused real disruption and difficulties for drivers when the job is pretty damn difficult anyway, to be honest.
So, as we say, the ban lifts at midnight, but not in a small area around Ashford. Why is that, Adrian?
Well, there is deemed to be more facilities around Ashford. There's a really good truck stop in Ashford, provides really good facilities. The problem is that there's just not enough facilities. And this isn't just, just in Kent. There's a whole... The country is short on places for drivers to park. It's absolutely in the focus in Kent because of the problems caused by border delays due to Brexit, etc. But we need more parking places for lorry drivers. We agree that the government needs to step up and enact on its own recommendation to provide near 1,500 parking spaces. But we also need to work with local authorities, and we need to work with developers and employers to make sure that when distribution parks and factories and industrial parks are built, that drivers have somewhere to park safely, to be able to use a toilet, perhaps get a bite to eat. Nothing too fancy, but somewhere safe and secure that they can park legally.
Now, you'll appreciate this. The issue of lorry parking facilities, or the lack of them, keeps coming up. We talk about this a lot here at BBC Radio Kent. What is the solution then? Because more parking spaces, 1,500 spaces seems a tall order. That just can't happen overnight, can it?
Oh, absolutely not. It can't happen overnight. And the shortage of parking spaces hasn't happened overnight either, Pat. It's happened over many years of the industry and our drivers being undervalued. And we're now seeing some significant consequences of those actions. But how do we solve the lorry parking problem? Our union's got a number of proposals from when councils are looking at developing park and ride facilities to keep city centres and town centres free of traffic. They should be considered to be multi-purpose. So cars can use them in the day and lorries can use them overnight, for example. Like we said, we need to see developments being built to have parking available on them. So drivers aren't forced to look for somewhere on a residential road or an industrial estate to park. But we also need a fundamental change in the way drivers are treated. And the fact that drivers need to park in laybys and roadsides is simply because they can't afford to do anything else. And the facilities that are available, on many occasions, just aren't good enough. So we need to see a whole review of the industry from pay to conditions. But firstly and foremost, we need to see people giving drivers the respect they deserve and understanding that there's a very important job to do, and they are, on the whole, abiding by their legal obligations.
Unite National Officer for Lorry Drivers, Adrian Jones, thank you for being with us.